All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to learn how to create a solar system today. So we're going to start off with a new file. And we are going to choose, for this one, web. And we're going to just go ahead and go with a common. And make sure its orientation is landscape. And we'll go ahead and get started. So for this one, we're going to start off with our first layer is going to be kind of our space layer. So go to the Layers tab, change it to the word space, and I'm going to create a black rectangle. And we want no stroke on this and black on the color here. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to expand my layers, unlock this, and I'm going to create a scatter brush. So let's get a white paintbrush out. A white color out, and we're going to use, by clicking and holding here, an ellipse, and give it a perfect circle by holding down Shift. Actually, instead, I think we're just going to make this a certain number of pixels. Let's see what 8 by 8 looks like. Yeah, if you just click instead of drag, this will pop up, and you can set exactly the size that you want. And let's see, I think that's probably about right for the size. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Effects, and we're going to choose Distort and Transform, Pucker and Bloat. Now make sure that your object is selected. Make sure it does not have a stroke and it just has a white fill before you do this. And it should be 8 by 8 pixels. You can also just type in up here under Properties 8 by 8 and get it that way. All right, here we go. Effect, Distort and Transform, Pucker and Bloat, and we're going to choose a negative. Let's do negative 95, somewhere in that range. You decide what you like. And I'm going to go ahead and give this just a smidge of color. So I'm going to double click on this white, and we're going to make our star just slightly gold right there, or yellow. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is select this. Make sure it is selected with the blue dots around it. And we're going to go to right click on it, and actually, I forget how to do this. Let's go to Window Brushes. That's right, sorry. We're going to pull our brushes out, and we're going to hit the plus right here with this selected, and we're going to create a new scatter brush. And on the scatter brush, we're going to call this one Stars, and the size is going to be random, the spacing is going to be random, the scatter is going to be random, and on the size, we're going to go from 0 to 100%. I'm sorry, 10 to 100%. And then these other sliders, we're going to push them all the way to the right and all the way to the left. Leave this one in the middle. And we'll say that the color is hue shift. And that way you can change the color if you want. And here we go. Now let's go ahead and get a paintbrush out and watch what happens when we paint. It creates a star field. Now if you wanted to, you could change your stroke. This uses stroke, not fill, to different colors if you wanted to get some variation. We got some blue ones, so that's pretty cool. And there's a couple spots I kind of missed. Let me fill in this area and this area. And let's go a little bit golden. Okay, so that is our star field. I'm going to go ahead and take these layers, and let's go ahead and just lock that so we can't accidentally do anything to it. And we're going to create a new layer, and this is going to be, I'll just call this one our shapes layer. Okay, so now we're going to create some planets. Holding down Shift to make this a perfect circle. And I'm going to give it a fill instead of a stroke. Now make sure you have this fill selected, otherwise the gradient tool is not going to work. We're going to go to the gradient tool, and I'm going to click on this. And we're going to get our gradient options out. Go to Window, Gradient. And we're going to switch it to a round gradient and make this a planet. And we'll say that there's going to be a sun over here. So make sure all your planets kind of use the same location for the sun. I'm going to use a circle that's just a little bigger than the planet for this. And we will make sure that this one's black. And as far as what else you want to do with it, that's totally up to you, but you can give it a color if you want to. This is going to be a pale blue dot, Earth-like planet. And then if you wanted to just go ahead and duplicate that, you give yourself another planet. And I can just change this one to a different color. Okay. Now, let's give ourselves a sun. And I'm going to put the sun off of the page right here. That's okay. The sun, I'm going to use... I'm going to do a gradient as well. But this one, I'm just going to go ahead and recreate it. So go to the gradient tool and just draw a new one from the center. Just move that so it's perfectly centered. And then for the sun, instead of black here, I'm going to go with like a yellow. And then you can play around with these sliders all you want. Give it some orange. If you want to go white in the center, you can. However you want to do it, totally up to you. And you'll notice the edges are kind of straight for a sun. So, you know, if we go into the stroke, I could give it since the yellow is the outside, I'm going to give it a yellow color for the stroke. And I'm going to make my stroke thicker. That's not quite the color I'm looking for. I want something a little bit lighter. Okay, that looks about right. And then I'm going to go into my my brushes again, window brushes. Let's see if we can find something with a little bit more texture to it. And that would be this brush right here. So it kind of got that sunny solar flare kind of look to it. Cool, and that's lighting up our planets so you can see that they are pointed this direction. Let's give this one a moon. So I'm going to hold down Alt to make a duplicate of it. Make this one nice and small. Let's go into our gradient here. And for this gradient, oh, I'm still on the stroke. So let me go switch back over to the fill. Let's go ahead and switch these colors. Oops. And I'm going to make the size of this bigger. And I'm going to pull it. I'm going to put a black one here too. You just click on any new spot to make a new one. And what I'm looking for, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. Let me point it at the sun though, because that's how moons work. And we have ourselves a little moon. Now let's give it a color other than blue so it doesn't match the planet. A little darker with that. That's kind of cool. Cool, so we gave ourselves a little moon. And you can make more moons if you want to. Now we have a pretty cool looking solar system. You can create this however you want, use whatever colors you want. If you want to get a little bit creative with the planets, feel free. You know, I could give this, you know, this planet could have like some more things going on with it, or we have some different colors going on, whatever, however you want to do that. Let's go ahead and give this planet a ring. So I'm going to come down here and select this boy. And I'm not going to use a gradient for this. I'm just going to use a fill. So let's just click here and just pick a color, but not black. Let's go into our swatches. Just pick some random color so we can see it better. All right, so we're going to end up with something like this. I'm going to make a duplicate of it by holding down Alt, and let me choose a different color, and I'm gonna shrink it down and stick it inside. So we're gonna get this nice ring, and maybe the ring will get a little bit I'm holding down Alt to go both directions, by the way. Maybe the ring feels a little flatter on the edges, so maybe something like that. And I'm going to select both of these at the same time. I can do that by dragging a box around them, but then I'm going to get this, and I don't want to get that. So I'm just going to hold down Shift and click on both of these. It'll select both. Then over here on the Pathfinder, we're just going to click on the minus the front. It'll cut that one out, and we're left with this shape. Now the problem here is we do want the front of it to be in front of the planet, but the back of it to be behind it. So I'm going to select both of these at the same time with Shift. And I'm going to use the Shape Builder tool. Clicking here, I'm going to click and drag those areas, but not this area. And the problem with that, though, is we just created two different shapes for our planet. So in order to prevent that from happening, let's make sure that, how do I prevent that from happening? I'm not really sure how to prevent that from happening. I guess we create a shape like that, and then how do you combine these guys? Let's do this. Let's pull this out of the way for a minute. And select that guy, and then just use a shape builder and just reconnect it. We're still missing that part. Okay, so I guess what we're gonna have to do, unfortunately, is we're gonna have to make a copy of this, a duplicate of it. Let's delete that one. And we're gonna have to do the process down here. And then take our ring, stick it back up here. As best we can. And delete this one. There might be a better way to do it, but I don't know what it is. So. And then one last thing, let's give this thing a gradient. And I'm going to make this gradient flat, like this. And let's just make it about the same size as that. And that's cool. Okay. And then we can give this gradient some cool effects. So let's put some colors in there. I don't know. We have a bunch of rings, so let's make them different colors. And if I could, I'd like this to be a little bit more in the shape and location. So it might take a little bit of finagling to kind of get that exactly where I want it. But if you want to move the location of it, just grab it by the bar. But yeah, ideally I would like this to be the same. That's about as close as I'm probably going to get it. So there we go. I could even take this and maybe pull the opacity down a little bit if I wanted to. Give a little transparency. That's kind of cool. And okay, cool. That's our ring. Next, I'm going to build a little rocket ship. So I'm going to go online and just take a look at like what a rocket ship might look like. So I got some samples right here. You can make anything that you want to. This is a pretty generic, simple one right here. So what I could do is build some shapes. So using the polygon tool, if I click, I can get a three-sided one like that. Let's just give it a fill. So that could be kind of the tip. Now, by grabbing with the direct selection tool, if I click on this top one, I can curve it in a little bit. And let's put a rectangle underneath that. And with the direct selection tool, I'm going to select both of these, curve them a little bit longer. You got to go back and forth between these two tools sometimes. And also kind of wanted those to be in a little bit. And I'm just using the arrow keys to do that. I don't know. This doesn't look that amazing, but let's use a shape builder to combine this. And you guys don't have to watch this part. You do whatever you want. I'm just kind of messing around right now. And yeah, that's a pretty terrible looking rocket. Maybe over here, I'll do like something like this, rotate it. Something on the other side, right click, transform, reflect. And kind of comes down to a point right there. So just drawing with shapes. All right. Now you can kind of color all this in however you want to. I'm just going to go gray right now. And if you want to combine it all into one shape, you can just click on this Pathfinder button. It'll push it all together. But if you want to like color the different parts of it, you would have to break it up into smaller bits. I guess there's 2 points right there. Yeah, okay. I could even put a gradient on that if I wanted to make it look kind of silvery. Let me just choose a flat one, and you can even find in your swatches panel, if you go to Window Swatches, you can even choose a metallic one. So I click on this little button right here, and then go to Metal, and I could say that I want it to look kind of silver. Oh, sorry. You go to Gradients, and then Metal. Yeah, this little rocket ship. So I'll just stick this thing because it's so ugly somewhere far away so nobody has to look at it. All right, well, that kind of from a distance looks like a rocket ship. And if you wanted to color it, you know, you'd have to break it up into different pieces, but maybe I'll just, for the sake of this, I'll just put like a blue panel on it. That's like a window. And if I wanted to put like some, if I wanted to break it apart into pieces, I'd have to use a shape builder tool. And if you want to like give it some flames or something like that, feel free, get creative, do whatever you want. So we got our little rocket ship, and after that, it's really up to you what you want to do. If you have some extra time, maybe you can try to make a nebula or a little galaxy in the background, or an alien or something other, some asteroids. You could even try your hand at the pen tool to try to like free draw some little asteroids. And it might even be cool to try out the other gradient tool, which is this one. Which, if you were going to do asteroids, you could do something where you have like a bunch of dark spots everywhere. If you pick black, everywhere you click is going to be black. And then you could pick some lighter areas that are going to be, I don't know, asteroid color. And then you could kind of draw those around to make it look like it's got some, oops. If you want to delete one, I think you just hit the delete key, yep. Whichever one you click on, it's going to pick that color next time. So if you want to like steal a color, you can just keep doing that. Delete that one, get those black ones a little bit more. I don't know, that does not look very asteroidy, but whatever. That's our asteroid. And you can make a little asteroid field with a bunch of them, however you want to do it. When you're done, you're going to file sorry, let's make sure we save this. We're going to save this into our Creative Cloud. Your name underscore solar system. And save. And then, actually, I'll go ahead and save mine. When you're done, you're going to export it. File export. You're going to choose export as. Make sure you check this box that says use artboards and make sure it goes into your Creative Cloud folder. Do not click on this icon. A lot of you accidentally do that. You just click on this. That's all you need to do, and then hit save. Make sure you check use artboards. Otherwise, it's going to include all that other junk. In fact, I won't check it so you can see how bad it's going to look. And you can leave all that other stuff alone. And you'll see that when I open it up, because I did not check that box, it's going to contain that, and you don't want that. So let me try it again. File export as. I'm going to check the box this time. Let's hit export, and let's see the difference. So from this to that, we don't want that. We want this. We want to just see the stuff that's on our artboard. So there it is. We have our solar system. Thanks for watching, guys.